and welcome to a critique or portfolio critique, website critique of Stoney Darkstone, StoneyDarkstone.com. I know that we've agreed not to show this video publicly. I'm kind of introducing it as if it would be, just in case you change your mind, that's all. Don't worry, unless you say I won't be uploading this. So, what I'm going to do is, first of all, the colours that you're probably going to see in the video will probably not truly reflect what I'm looking at on my monitor, which is calibrated. The decoding or the screen capture will probably do something funky with the colours. Nothing too major, but it may not look quite true. So just bear that in mind. And also the audio levels should be set quite well, but they may pick up some background noise like a dog barking, a car beeping. I've closed my window mostly, but it's slightly open because it's so damn warm in here. So we'll crack on with the portfolio review. Initially, I want to just cover a few things whilst they're on my mind. I've actually had a look at this website on, or your website, I'm talking to you here, on my mobile phone, which is an Android-based device, and a tablet, 8-inch tablet, which again is Android as well. And it formats really well. It really does look quite well. Even when you rotate the screen, in fact better so than my own website does. You rotate the screen on my Android devices on my website and you have to reload the page. Weird. Something to look at. One thing to note though, as we look at this here, there's no way of getting this gallery section here to a full screen. I mean, I'm looking at this on a 24-inch monitor at the moment. So a fairly large screen, and it's probably a quite true representation of a screen size that someone's probably going to look at your work on, really. Say an editor of a magazine, a fashion stylist, or what have you. Yes, they will look at it on a mobile device as well, so it's good that your site formats well on that, but it needs to format and look well on a larger screen as well. Now, on the mobile version, or the web version, it does quite well in terms of flicking over to a navigation screen, and when you click on a thumbnail on there, it brings up a full screen larger image, which works well on a mobile device, and then you can use your fingers naturally to swipe, which I really like. It's probably a better user experience on the mobile than it is actually on the physical website. Okay, yes, you can skip through with the arrows. Unfortunately, the arrow keys on the keyboard don't do anything, and I think these things always display in here are a little bit distracting. They're probably a little bit better off to the side, or maybe appearing when you go near to the edge or when you move the mouse. I would probably look to add functionality to the site if you can do. I mean, I don't know who you've used for the site, whether it's Squarespace, Livebooks, a custom built one, and we'll try and add functionality so the arrow keys on the keyboard will control going left and right through the images. So, okay. This Pin It badge, by the way, anyone who sees this, is actually a plugin, an extension on my browser. It's not something that's on your website or on his website if it's somebody else watching this. So, we'll carry on through. The overall initial impression of the site is nice and clean. Clean and simple white background, nice logo at the top. It looks quite classy with it being the grey silver and the shading as well. And the navigation, not so keen on myself. It actually translates better on the mobile the mobile version, because it slides over to a list rather than this covering the images, because there's only so much that you're going to be able to fit within this before this menu starts to get too big. And then it's going to want to scroll down, and I don't know how that would work. Plus, if someone looks at your website on a tablet, what I've noticed, or on a mobile phone, and they go to the full web version rather than the mobile version, which is probably quite feasible given how prolific these devices are these days, the iPads, the Android tablets and what have you. This navigation thing it pops down, but as soon as you click on it to get it to pop down, it reloads to the front page, so you're not going to be able to get to these these submenus. The mobile site works well, the full site on a mobile device not so well, because of that. So, what I'm going to go through as well is your social media, so your presence online. So we're looking at the website, and you've got your links up here: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and email. Before we start going through the actual portfolio and getting through to the images, by the way, there's some of them which I've sat there looking at thinking, damn, I wish I'd shot that. The website as a whole, nice and clean, like I say. Excuse me. The mail button here will work well when you click on it if you've got a mail client installed. Outlook, I forget what others are called now, such as that. But when I click on it here, I use Gmail in the web browser, because I use it the same thing on my devices as well. When I click on this here, boom, that's all I get. So it's not going to load a client, and there's going to be a lot of people out there that don't use Outlook clients. They use Outlook online, or they use Gmail or some other service that's web-based. And granted, it's easier now to copy the email address, but really I think it should be visible on the site somewhere. Now, I'm not saying you can't have an email button here. A lot of sites do. I have one on my site as well also, just in case. But on the About section here, yes, gallery under construction, it actually details the email address in there. And that's one thing that on your site's lacking at the moment, I think, Stoney, is there's no information about you and who you are, and what you do. Not at least that I can see. I mean, if it's hidden really well. Phone number's there, which is readily available, which is good. And the lack of the about me information, and it's how can I put this? It's a horrible thing to have to do, to write about yourself. Although, to be fair, you did really well in conveying who you are, where you feel that you're at, and your struggles in the email that you sent through. So writing something about yourself is difficult, so it doesn't come across as I'm standing here patting myself on the back, or I'm trying to big myself up, which in a way you are, but not too overtly. Excuse me. So there is an About Me section needed on the site, really, so someone can come and find out about you, who you are, the kind of work that you shoot, what you like, what you don't like, and a little bit about you as a person as well. And I get that it is difficult, especially for someone who may be shy, of nature. It's difficult for many people to do that, of course. And that information on the About Me, whilst you don't necessarily need to copy paste it to the social media profiles, there needs to be something on there. So if we just quickly look at your Facebook page, yes, I'm logged in as myself, so notifications galore, then okay, you've got your work going out to Facebook as well, with links to the MUAs involved, the studios, that's all good. Okay, but we look at the About Me, and nothing. Links to the website, Twitter and Instagram, but there's no actual information about you there. Even a little bit of information to entice them to going through to your website. Don't forget, a lot of people that use the likes of Facebook, okay, they may not necessarily be the clients that you're looking to work with in the future, but people that you may want to meet, network with, work with as you climb that path, you need to give them a little bit of a reason to get off Facebook. I have a hate relationship with Facebook, but I am on it, but there we go. So some About Me information is well worth putting on there. Now, if we have a quick look at Twitter, while that loads, there we go. Okay, I'm not currently signed in on this at the moment. Then there's the picture, number of tweets, followers, and all that stuff. And stop, don't do it, go follow someone else. Okay, which I found actually quite funny. So kudos on that one, with a link to the site there. So that's fine. I mean, you've got 140 characters to tell people what you do on Twitter, so no biggie on that one. So, but the link to the website is good. You could probably put some information in there about who you are and what you do, maybe. But a little bit of humour, doesn't actually do any harm, I don't think, as well. YouTube as well. It's interesting that you're doing stuff with YouTube and you're doing stuff with video on your site and within your portfolio work, or to coincide or enhance a shoot or a story that you've shot. So that's a really good thing. I was actually talking to a group of photographers at an event that I ran the other weekend about video, and I think that it's something that you can't ignore. If you just want to be the stills person, okay, fair enough, but I think you still need to pay attention to what's going on with video and how people can use it to market themselves, whether it's just 15-second Vine videos, Instagram videos, or something more heavily produced and edited like what you've done with yours. So that's a good thing. But we can see that your profile picture is there, which is the same on Facebook, different on Twitter. So I would probably look to get a consistent look and feel throughout your online presence. Now, it's difficult because obviously YouTube looks different than Facebook, and Facebook looks different than your website, and Twitter looks, they all look very, very different. But the graphics, the avatar, profile picture can be the same. Now, I've been boring, maybe, really safe, and just use my logo. Could be because I hate being in front of the camera, but there you go. But just have a consistent kind of a look there. I mean, these banner images, I hate these things because they end up moving the goalposts and they change the sizing, and it doesn't translate well on a mobile device or on a bigger screen or on a TV. It just sucks. So I find these difficult to deal with myself and wouldn't bother spending too much time on them. There's a link to the website there, which is good. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter there as well, which is fine. But it's good that you're listing the work here, and you can create playlists for such things like fashion stories, personal work, and what have you, to separate it all. So that's good. These I've actually watched. I'm not going to watch these in the video because I'm not going to critique video because it's not really what I deal with at this moment in time. But I quite enjoyed watching them. They weren't too long. Let's face it, the attention span of many people online these days is fairly short. If nothing grabs them, they're on to the next thing. So they certainly got my attention. They matched the stories that you'd shot, so really well done on that. I quite like the editing and the music overlay as well. Now, if we look at... no channels there, that's fine. Discussions, nothing there. And we go to the About section, and this is really the main thing. Again, number of subscribers, doesn't matter. Stats on social media, I think, are far too much focus is put on the numbers, the stats, rather than good quality content. I'll get off my soapbox. But again, there's nothing here, or yes, links back to the website, but when we come back to the site here, there's no about you information. I'm sorry to harp on about this, but there needs to be something there to make people want to go through to the website. And descriptions on the YouTube. In fact, let's check that. I told you I was going to have a look at everything, so bear with me. I will fire this one up, but I'll pause it. Okay. Okay, there you go. So you've got links to people there. Now, the things that you can probably do on the links on these things is put the HTTP in. So I think that will turn the link live in the description. For some reason, YouTube in 2014 can't figure out and do that itself. But that will probably be a good thing to do. You've not got too many up there to go through and change. So at least you've got links to the people that are involved, the music and the references and all of that. So it's good that you've got the information in there as well. But because this now, stuff like this, the content that you're creating here pushes straight back to your website, you need to have something there to say, hello, this is me. A little bit about you personally, about your work, and what you're looking to achieve, where you're looking to go, and things like that. I couldn't tell you what to write. It's very difficult, but something needs to be there. Now, LinkedIn, last one. I'm getting the social media stuff out of the way first because I know how much of a pain in the ass and a time suck it is, especially when you're a one-man band or a small team of people. So we'll go to LinkedIn. Okay, there we are. Consistent with the profile picture, photographer. And now this has got more information about you than your website has in terms of where you're based. But then it gets a little thin going through into the information, additional info, and things like that. I mean, 1901 to present, 113 years old. My God, you're looking good for 113 years old. That will probably need updating and padding out. Remember, you want to give people within these social media networks, in particular what I've found with LinkedIn, in the little time that I've been on there, they tend to stay within that circle and stay within that network themselves. So you need to give them something to tempt them to go over to the website. I mean, you can upload little, pictures, galleries. You've got a little video there. I'm not saying make these social media networks your portfolio, because really don't, because you've got no control over the user experience. But you can put some information to make them want to go and find out more about you on your website. So enough about the About Me page and social media. There's a few things to do there which wouldn't really take too much time apart from the writing the About Me page, and that's probably going to be the most time consuming. So we'll get to the actual site itself and going through the portfolio. One thing I'm saying, I'm done now with the About Me page. Make sure that it has who you are, what you do, and where you're based. If it allows a Google Map thing, you don't have to have that, then you can do. And give them a form that they can fill in to email you. Okay. Now mine, I'm never happy with it, but there it is, for better or for worse. We've got the form here. Should they want to use this to email me directly, and then it comes through from my provider, which is Squarespace, or they can right-click, copy the email address, which you can do in most browsers these days, or physically copy it, or click on that to do the mail to, again, with the phone number and things like that. So some information about yourself. So we'll get rid of that, and we'll start going through this now. I'm going to just have a quick look at this first gallery here, because this is the first thing that people see when they get on the website. So I've mentioned that we need the arrow controls on the keyboard. Again, it works really nice on the mobiles for the swiping. I really like that, actually. In fact, I'm wondering how I can get mine to bring up a light box so you can swipe. But there you go. And we'll just have a flick through here. Now, I really like this series of images, or this image in particular. But let me go to the first one. There we go. We've kind of got off track there. And when I first looked at your body of work on the site, I immediately thought, okay, this is fashion orientated. And then as you go further through, you can start to see conceptual stuff coming through as well. And fashion and conceptual kind of go hand in hand, as far as I can tell. Now, I'm not in that world or in that space with what I shoot, but I've seen enough of it to kind of have an idea of what can kind of be done within that space. And it's quite freeing, I imagine, because there are no real limitations. There's no rules and boundaries set. Okay, there's no real rules and boundaries set to stop you doing anything within photography, but in terms of an industry and a genre, then the rules that are out there that conform for many types of portrait work can kind of go to hell, and you don't really need to worry about. And with the fashion stuff, you can crop at the wrist, you can crop at the knees if you want to, you can cut fingers off and hands off, and it's not a big issue because it's something that people see all the time in editorials in the magazines that you see on the shelves. So this first image, it feels a little too tight for me. When you look at it round on the shoulder here, it would think it would be more balanced with some negative space. Now, whether it was shot like this or then posed uncropped in like this to fit a lookbook, a example editorial that was put together to be sent out, then fine, okay, fine. It strikes me that it may have been part of a set where the images were cropped like this, and there was maybe a tip trick or something, or a story of multiple images. I'm not so sure. The necklace here, a little bit distracting because it's kind of there and not there. It's not really part of the picture. It's just one small section of it, so I don't think really it does any favours. Personally, myself, I do like profile shots, but I just think this is a little bit too tight. And I'm certainly not against experimenting with makeup types, with any kind of shading like that. It's certainly interesting. One thing to note as well, Stoney, is the post-production that I've seen that you've done on the images. I like quite a lot actually, because it's not overdone. You see so much where they end up looking like a freaking mannequin, or the eyes look like a ghoul from Stargate, and it just looks horrible. You know, you've still kept some detail and some texture in the hair, in the clothes, in the skin in particular, so I do really like that. So we'll go through to the next one. Wow, that looks uncomfortable. It's probably not that uncomfortable to wear, I imagine, but it just kind of, it's the spikes. Interesting. I mean, it's a tight crop on this one. I mean, something like this could probably be used for a banner image. You know, you can extend the black on that, no problem, in post-production, use negative space for text if you wanted to, or a logo. So it certainly would have some uses. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of this image myself. The brighter part of the image is here on the hair. Now, as I go through these images offering critique and thoughts, these are my thoughts and coming from my experience. Now, I'm not out there trying to shoot for the fashion editorial, so some of what I say may well be relevant. Some of it someone could probably hear and say, well, sure, Torb, you don't know what you're going on about, and, you know, won't really matter or be relevant. So, you know, pinch of salt on all that, and nothing that's said here is personal. But the brightest part of an image typically is what's going to draw the eye first. Okay, it's kind of photography 101 in some ways, and things that get picked up on in camera club reviews, and if you go for a censorship with the Royal Photographic Society and stuff like that. But yeah, in this one, with the hair being quite light, I mean, it's not super light blonde, but quite light, these highlights on the hair are picking them up. They're making my eye go there first rather than over here, because this zone appears to be a little bit brighter than over here. So not a huge fan of that one for that reason. Interesting. Okay. I like the light on this. Now, you mentioned in your email to me that you felt unconfident in some ways, or unsure on your ability. You've got some really strong work on this site, as I'm sure I'll say again going through it all, and the lighting you know, works well on a lot of them. Now, how you've got to that stage where you're the kind of person that has somebody on hand doing the lighting, or whether you do it yourself, ultimately the end result is what speaks. But you hinted, or you mentioned about being concerned about your technical ability, or being unsure about it, and as I answered in the email, it's something that's well worth putting the time into getting to grips with and learning, so you've got a good strong technical base to work off, and you can figure problems out when they do happen, when you have equipment issues, failures and what have you, or if someone comes up to you and asks for this that you've shot, can you do this for me? You can reproduce it comfortably because you've done it again and again and again and again and again. And I know we, as photographers, we want to kind of shoot different things, but there's a lot of what we learn, a lot of what we shoot, which will be repeated, you know, through the course of our careers. I really do like this image. I don't mind that it's such a tight crop on this. We kind of lose a little bit of a shape on the body with this wrap, shawl wrap. Forgive me if I get the name wrong, but it's not too distracting. I like the curls. I'm a big fan of red hair colour, so I'm sure that helps. And the makeup's nice and clean. Post-production looks clean as well. It seems to have a little bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? A faded or cross-faded kind of a look to it. I don't really want to say this, but the Instagram kind of a look, you know, the filter. It's not too strong on this, but it is a little bit, and I think that's used far too much these days. Just look at any wedding blog, but that's just my opinion. You know, good colour, good contrast is far stronger, if you ask me. That said, it depends on who you're doing your work for, of course. I like this picture because of the change in the shape of the eye where she's looking. I would have probably expected this maybe to be a little bit wider open, maybe. not quite sure. And with the light on this, I think it probably would have worked better if it was more symmetrical, flowing overhead. So clamshell, well, not clamshell because you'd be lighting underneath, but butterfly lighting. So you get a nice symmetrical shadow under here, under here, under here, and you get even fall off depending on how close the light was or how far back overhead it was on each side of the face here, because we've got a darker section here compared to this side, so it is more camera left, the position of the light there. Let's go to the next one. Okay, now here's where, in terms of the gallery layout, whilst it's clean, it works, it's simple. Simplicity rules with all this stuff. Simple white background. Some of the images end up being a little bit small, and bear in mind I'm looking at this on a 24-inch monitor, and the resolution's 1920 by 1200 if I remember rightly. So I would probably prefer something which is quite large and straight there. I mean, you've got a little bit of headroom to expand the image size here, and considering this is a layout or an example layout for an editorial piece, maybe you shot this to show that I can do this kind of work, and look, this is an example layout. It's too small to actually pick up the detail, any kind of writing here. This is a little hard to read as a result, and it has less impact of being smaller. Now, maybe there's a bit of work needed to correct that on the website. I mean, obviously re-exporting the images to a different size, not so bad, depending on your workflow. But I think a little bit larger would work. I quite like this piece actually. I don't mind things where they start to go crushed and fall to black here. I'm going to just lean in to have a bit of a closer look, so I'm probably going to get a bit louder here, just bear with me. I think the jacket's probably lost a little bit, and I don't know whether that's been done in post-production and corrected after. It just looks a little bit crushed and washy, and a little bit muddy maybe. It could well be the resolution, not necessarily the size, but the DPI that it was outputted at and uploaded at. But I like the fact that you're laying out a piece of work to say, look, this is me, this is what I want to do. Okay, and here's kind of an example layout, so that's good. I like the pose, and I like the use of light on this actually. You can see the separation light here. It's probably about equal to the key light thereabouts. You would expect the edges of the hair with a bare light hitting it for separation to become, a little bit hot in exposure, which is normal. You've got a hint of a highlight separating there. So this black top, whilst it's quite specular because it's silk or satin maybe, will show up highlights, and we've got a good separation between that and the background. So good job, quite like that one. I do really like this one. This is the one that was loaded first by mistake. This is one of the ones that damn, I wish I thought of that idea. I really do like that one. Nicely shot. Nicely shot. I mean, I can tell that you've shot this wide angle. Just with the very nature of what's happening with the image, the distortion, and the way that it expands the perspective. With the chair being closer to the lens, it does look larger than she does. It would affect the pose, but it can be negated by having the person lean forwards. I can't really show that with the mouse, but lean their shoulders in towards the lens, so it brings their head up a section of the torso closer to the lens to kind of balance out that element which is closer. I mean, certainly if you're shooting up at someone laying down at the feet, then their legs will look bigger, and as it goes up towards the body, wide angle, the head gets really small, so you can kind of help work against that by having them lean forward. That said, it depends on whether she could lean forward, being stood in and on that, and whether it would have negatively affected the pose. And I don't mind at all the highlights on the background. Many people will go, oh, highlights are distracting to the eye, your eye automatically goes to them, like I said in the earlier image. True, but you're shooting in a box which is wallpapered with silver foil, so you're going to get it. So I really do like that one. And this is again where I'd like to see the image larger, or be able to click on it and it go into a light box, so we can actually look at the finer details, look at the expression, look at the details of the foil dress. So a larger version would certainly help to deliver with more impact, I think. There we go. So again, in the foil room. Okay. Now, at this point, I just want to say, in your email, you mentioned, I told you this thing was going to be long when I emailed you, you mentioned that you're shooting with homemade modifiers, and no problem whatsoever. I don't see any problem with the quality of the light. Now, whether you're having to do work in post to get the images to this stage, I don't know. If you're having to do a lot of work correcting things you should be doing in camera, then that's where you need to learn the solid technical foundations. And some people may say, oh god, here we go, yeah, learn the fundamentals, learn the basics, yeah. But I think it holds you in good stead going forward to deal with any problems that come through, and it limits the amount of time that you're going to need to sit in post-production dealing with those basics first. Okay, you may take a while on an image to polish it up to the commercial or fashion levels, more retouching than what I may do for my work and things like that, but if you can do as much as you can at the shooting stage, then it's easier going forward. This image I do like. I like the light in it, and you've got a nice loop light in here, nice punchy hard light source. Oh, it does work really well. It does work really well, and the way to pick things up in terms of what kind of light is used, the shadows tell you where the light was because of the direction, and the harshness of these lines will tell you whether it was a soft or a hard light source. And you can tell it's quite a specular light source, what's happening on here and on the background as well. So nicely done. One thing I've noted on this, because you've got I think that's the ducting or something in the room that's been covered in foil, that creates quite a solid contrasting line which is cutting through the head. Now, fashion editorial, it may not matter that much whether you have things going through the head, through the neckline, and things like horizon lines of oceans and tree branches and lampposts, and it's amazing what photographers don't see in the background, and it's something that I always pick up on. I'm always trying to get the head in a clean spot, if I can do. But that said, like I say, it may not matter too much in the fashion editorial world. Nice use of colours. Very clean makeup. I expect there's been some post-production there to clean it up, which is normal. Not too heavy on the post on the skin. I like the curl or the flow of the hair, which brings you in. Okay, and it kind of joins in here. I don't mind that it's such a tight crop on this. The light works well, and there's enough light in her eyes here. You can tell it was quite a relatively large and soft light source. Nicely done. The shadows here look a little bit open. We've got a little hint of blue. Again, that's that filter kind of a feel, which I'm not a fan of, so I'm going to pick up on that probably a few times. But it depends on who you're trying to deliver the work for. But if you look online on portfolios from many different genres, then you see that a lot. And I think it's going to disappear eventually, and the next thing will kind of come along. But yeah, that's a strong image. No wides, shot with a wide angle lens. Okay, I do like that. I don't know whether was this tarpaulin. It looks like it could be tarpaulin. I don't think it's seamless paper kind of crumpled up. It looks more like it would be a tarpaulin or some kind of a sheet, which I actually quite like that as a background or a set area. Yeah, and again, nice layout. Framing wise on this one, it's a little bit off. She's not really on a third or in the middle. So there's kind of some negative space. Okay, she's more over to this side here, but but to balance this out, I'd either go dead center, okay, which is fine given the elements what are going on, or I'd place her on a third accordingly. Now I don't know whether you were trying to frame her in these V or these folds here coming around out of her head and shoulders, so maybe that was your intention, but it just seems a little bit unbalanced on the framing there. And again, but I would still like to see a larger version of this, to see more detail of who it was for. Now I know you've had some of your work published, which was awesome. We talked about that in the email. Kudos. Add it to the belt, add it to the CV, and move on. It's not about being lucky. Yes, okay, sometimes it's nice. It's in the right place, at the right time, and knowing the right people for some things. But there's still your work that's gone into this, which got you the publication and the result. So well done. But again, I'd still like to see this larger, so I can see those details. We can see who you were involved with, who you worked with, who it was for. So there we go. This is me. This is my work, and boom. This is who I've worked with, who it was for. Again, light is nice on this. The eyes do look a little bit dark. Chin's down a little bit on this one. The light is kind of straight overhead, maybe tilted, if anything, slightly towards the camera. But eyes going dark, maybe wanted, maybe not. So it may not be too bad of a thing. And if they're wearing eyelash extensions, then anything short of direct on-camera flash isn't getting any light in there, from personal experience. So you've used the same area again and same background, but with a shallower depth of field, so it changes the look and feel. And now I do like this one. You've got a good eye for symmetry. Now, when I say symmetry, I'm talking about symmetry on the posing, but there's elements here, symmetry in the clothing as well. With the fold here, it matches here. Now whether that was placed and you had the stylist help to get that position right, or whether there was some nudging needed in post, that's all well and good. Nice symmetrical shapes here, so we're looking at triangle shapes here, triangle shapes here, triangle there, and here as well. So I do really like this one. Now the face and the light looks nice and symmetrical. I can't tell at this size whether it's had work done to make it that symmetrical. It almost looks too perfect. I mean, maybe she's just really symmetrical and awesome, great gene pool. But it looks like it may have had some work done. Forgive me if it hasn't, but it does kind of look that way. It looks just a little bit too similar there. But overall nice. There's a nice balance in the composition. Now again, pertaining to the technical, I mean, if you're shooting this stuff with a good balanced composition with elements of symmetry, and you're getting that in camera, awesome. If you're cropping it later on, then okay, I'm not saying cropping's not, you shouldn't do it, but if you can get it in camera, use all the resolution that you've got, then job done. Okay, if you do a square crop, you have to crop. Sometimes you need to for the layouts and things like that. I get that, but try and get a good balance frame in camera if you can. Look for the shapes and the elements, and I think you've actually nailed that. I do really like that shot. In fact, this was one when I first ran through the portfolio I kept on coming back to, as well as the foil also. Now, are these two together? Yes, they are. Good. Okay. These next two images, I'm assuming they were part of a series. So, same model, same clothes, minus the jacket or coat, the same kind of hair. They have two different feels in terms of the post-production. This one's got some punch, grit, and some contrast to it. There's some shadow play. You can see the highlights. The skin looks different in terms of the colour tone and contrast, as does the dress as well, in comparison to this one, which looks a lot softer and more open on the skin. Now I think the lighting on this probably hasn't helped, because you're not getting light in the eyes, or as much light in the eyes and on the face, partly because of the the huge wig, for want of a better word here, it's probably stopping it, and more so for the light position. The flowers in the foreground, great. Now, I'm all for using elements like shooting through shapes, shooting through holes, openings, fences, doors, keyholes, whatever. You can create some really interesting images using those things as the framing element, and you can shoot through foliage and flowers and build a picture with some foreground interest, which you've done here. This would need to go. Either take it out in post or snip it before you do the shoot, because it's just distracting, really. Because your eye, even though she's wearing white here with white hair, can't help but go to this damn flower. I just find it a little bit distracting, personally, and I don't think it would have been a great loss cutting that out, in terms of the floral arrangement. To be honest with you, and you still could have had these there as an interesting foreground interest. But again, going back to the post-production on this, it looks a little bit more open on the shadows, a little less contrasty, and a different kind of feel on the post-production compared to this one. Now, if those two were for a series, that may cause a little bit of a problem, because you're looking for kind of a consistent kind of a light look and feel, or processing, I would have thought anyway. But I do actually like the images, and that just bugs the crap out of me because it's in the way. And I do quite like that pose there as well. Nice shape in the body, nice gap there between the arms as well, so we can actually see. I mean, obviously she's a a relatively thin girl, in good shape. So not going to have any issues really here, but try and keep gaps between the arms as well. I like the pose. Yeah, good work. Like I say, you've got some really strong work on here, and, to build building a portfolio to go out there and do what you want to do, which is fashion and editorial and conceptual stuff. Okay. I love this. Again, big fan of redheads, but the colour of the hair works really well, with grey tone on the background, which is darker than the grey tone of the top here, but the hair colour and the colour of the actual jacket and the outfit work really well. So good job on that one. Nice framing there as well. Some may say it's a little tight on the top of the head, but I don't really mind that too much. To be honest with you, I mean, if it starts to cut into the head, unless it's a deliberate cut through, then yeah, maybe not. But yeah, good job, nicely done that one. Now, I really like this one, apart from the processing, because again, it's that filter. I told you we'd come back to this again, but it does nothing for me. It does nothing for me. You've got some great elements of colour in this coat, this jacket here with the fur, to play with the hair, the elements of the makeup, and it looks like she's turned this arm or elbow slightly more to the camera, or maybe you stepped out slightly so she's not square on. And I think this would have worked better if she was dead square on. Minor detail, but I would like to see this with just straight up colour and contrast, without the muddy looking kind of blacks or shadows on this. But again, the lighting's good, shows all the detail here. You've placed it well. We've not got burning out highlights up here with the hands or in any of the fur, and it covers all the way down. A little bit of fall off down here, which is to be expected, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, here we are again, wide angle lens. Now, you mentioned in the email as well that you kind of don't really listen to the advice in terms of what lens to use, or what you should use and what you shouldn't use, which you will read on every single photography forum that you could ever go and find. And you're quite right, really, to ignore it. Not completely. Those rules are there and foundational things are there to build off. But yes, you can then move away from them and go in your own direction, as long as you know why you're doing it and what's happening when you're doing it. And that's fine. I mean, wide angle, you start to get distortion, feet start to get a little stretched here, as does the hat, but it works well with the nature of the pose as well, and the environment with the lines on the background and the lines going forward. So zero problem with your using the wide angle lenses, and it's a technical choice. It's a lens choice, but it's also part of that style that you're developing. We talked about that in the email. It takes a while to develop a style. You'll be working on it for years, as will I, and it'll just kind of change and come along as it pleases. I think if you try and force it too much, you try looking at too many other photographers' work, and you start pulling in too much of this person, too much of that person, and putting nothing in yourself. It's easy to do, and I think I've been guilty of that myself before. There we go, same model. So if this was I'm guessing that this was a set of images. I'm assuming so. Same model, same outfit, or similar outfit, should I say? You know, latex, possibly the same designer. Latex seems to be a big thing at the moment. I've noticed there are a lot of people shooting those kind of outfits. Again, with this, if it was for a series of pictures, the finish and the colour, too different. Now, whether you've got problems with the modifiers that you're shooting because they are DIY, one's maybe warmer in colour temperature than the other one, then there's more work to be done in post to balance those out, certainly. And this is where going down the bought modifier route eventually is probably where you're going to want to go. Plus, obviously, it's better pulling out a real softbox rather than a DIY job on a client gig as well. So, but I like the pose on this one. Again, there is some symmetry to the pose, although slightly asymmetrical because she's turned away. We're losing this arm behind here, but we can still see that it is, of course, an arm there. Good eye contact with the camera. I like the framing. Okay, yeah, maybe it's a little bit tight, possibly, but you've kept it balanced with equal space either side. So nicely done on that one. There are a few flyaways that I start to see here, which sometimes flyaways can bug you, and sometimes not. I go through phases of hating them and then just kind of leaving them and letting the hair do what it wants to a degree, because it's just natural. You'll get flyaways, and other times I'll kind of try and retouch them. Okay. Yeah, I like this. It draws you in. It draws you in, it certainly does. A few things I'm picking up on as I look at it further, but the initial thing, it does grab you, and I keep waiting for her to open her eyes, and it's like, come on, open your eyes. I expect her to go boo, It's certainly an interesting image. Now, in terms of how it's lit, now the makeup's nicely done. You're working with some rather talented makeup artists. If you've got the details, please forward them on. Now, the lighting or how it's been set up, it's either that or maybe the shading on the makeup, not quite sure. We've got a lighter eye section there and a darker one here. Now, the shadow's relatively symmetrical, so you kind of expect these to have equal light, but this is going a little bit darker than this side. We're losing the shape of the face because we've lost the blue down here. Now, whether it's the hair that's got in the way or something else, it's hard to say, but if we look here, we can still just see the shape of the face where it kind of gets lost on this side and it all merges to black on there. Now, I'm looking at these in a lot of detail at the moment, and picking things out, but please know it's like I'm looking at these things as a photographer as well, so I'm going to start seeing things that a lot of other people may not necessarily see. That said, if you go and put in a book in front of editors, then be damn sure they're going to start picking things up, because they will do. We've got flyaways here which have picked up highlights from the light which are quite distracting, so I would look to deal with those there if I could do as well. And we've got this element here which has gone to black, which could maybe be used for text or a logo, but you'd kind of expect the hair to be, with the way the cut is, the way it's flowing here, to be framing the face, but it gets kind of lost on this side. But I'm still waiting for her to open her eyes. That's awesome. Okay, I really do like this one. It's simple tones. The grey of the dress works well with the grey of the background that's darker, and the skin tone and the hair fading from dark into light works really well. I would probably, if I am going to look at anything, I like the framing and the composition and the pose. I don't know whether I would have gone for the thumb closed in rather than just there. Although I suppose, if I think about it, it is more natural to have the thumb out. I'm holding my own arm there. Okay. The folds in her dress look nice. Now the eye here, which is kind of almost covered, we might as well have gone fully covered. So we can't see any of the white there. Because it's just a little bit distracting. And maybe it might not be so distracting at a larger size because you can see more of it. And you can see more of the eye. And yes, we know it's an eye. But I would have preferred that to be fully covered. But again, light's nice. Okay, I do like this kind of lighting pattern with the light high up. Coming down, certainly like it when it's straight overhead, butterfly lighting, paramount lighting, whichever way you want to call it. It's a really nice lighting pattern because it defines the shape of the face. Nice. So you really have got some good work, and you've got nothing. Well, I mean, I'd say nothing to worry about. There's elements which can always be improved, and that's the case with everybody's work. But you can take a body of work and move forward with it. You certainly can do. I'm tilting my head. Anybody else tilting their head? I am. Okay. Not quite sure on this one. It's lit well. Makeup looks clean. I like the haircut. I like the hints of colour in the hair. I was going to say that the hair seems shorter on one side than the other, but it's probably because of the head lean that we've got the hair dropping down. Necklace is cool. It feels a little bit strange because we've got less of the shoulder showing here than a full shoulder going this side. And I don't know whether the background's doing any favours really here at the moment, because there's not enough of it really to be shown as part of the story necessarily. Like with the others with the silver or the foil background, there was more of it there, so we kind of knew what it was. Whereas this, it's possibly a little bit of a distraction. Certainly with the crease lines here, which are dark, or the folds here, these hard lines which are cutting through and distracting there. And that's my initial phase on this. But I mean, in terms of, I like the makeup, I like the light. Going through this, I mean, I know we're only in the first section here. That's why I said this is going to take a while. Because if I'm going to do a review, I'm going to go through the whole lot. You've got a good idea for concepts, makeup. You know, you're trying different things all the time, which is really good. Okay. Not really too sure on this one. It's an interesting picture in terms of, you know, the pose and what she's doing, but doesn't really do a whole lot for me at this moment in time. It does feel like as well like it was shot with a wide angle lens. Now I know I've just said shoot what you want, but with this one it again would benefit her leaning forward, I feel a little bit, and a little less tighter of the framing at the top, because if there's a hair dress up or a head dress, I'm kind of expecting to see a little bit more room above that. Well, okay, it's not really doing it for me, that one, so we'll move on. Same model, here we go. Okay, the outfit's certainly interesting. We've gone for a symmetrical frame here, which you've done historically so far really well with, but we've kind of lost a little bit on this one, because this is probably the way the fabric or the clothing shapes. We've got a little wrinkle up here. It's touching the arm here, it's not touching the arm here. The fingers aren't quite symmetrical on there, yet you go in it does feel like you are going for symmetry. You've got a key light overhead, and you've got two rim lights or side lights coming in there, which is hitting the cheek line, hitting the clothes, and rimming the arm here. The background was put in post-production, I'm guessing. I'm not a fan of compositing backgrounds. Again, that's just me personally. I think it's just done too much, and because of that, you see some good stuff, you see a lot of bad stuff with compositing, and most of the time it's just obvious that it is a composite. Now watch you email me now and tell me that this wasn't, but it does certainly look like it's a composite on that one. So I think this one is a failure for me, which sounds really harsh, but because if you're going for symmetry, it needs to be symmetrical throughout to balance out, really. Similar kind of lighting setup on this one here. Okay, that one works, even though it is a really tight crop. I mean, there is some elements of symmetry in terms of with the clothing here, certainly, which kind of gets changed up by this head cover here. But no, overall, I do actually like that one. That one, I feel, is actually stronger than the previous one. Now, if these are a set, maybe a problem, but for me, take that one out, keep that one in. I like this one, actually. I like how it's been framed. Now, this has been framed in post, but I do still like how it's been framed. You've got it coming just touching in at the edge here. The outfit's certainly very interesting, a whole load of detail there, and again, if these images were bigger, we could really see the detail. And I don't really mind that we're losing the hair too much, although if that was part of the look in the outfit, then you may be in trouble in some shoots or with some clients. No, good job. I really do like that one. I like the expression, good light in the eyes. And when I've seen your work so far, light in the eyes, it doesn't appear to be too overdone in terms of the retouching on the eyes. Some people polish the eyes up and make them look like the glow world out of Stargate, and it just sucks. I don't know why people do it. But I'm really liking your post-production work in terms of the retouching that you're doing. So good job on that one. Ouch. What in the world? Is that real? It's an interesting image, but ow. It makes you feel uncomfortable, and that's just simply because of the spike going through the mouth. Oh God. That stopped me. Okay, and kudos. That's what we want. We want to get a reaction from our work. I like the light on this one. It's probably a little bit hot on the highlights on the skin. It does appear like you've lost detail there, maybe. There's some light skipping into the eyes, but maybe that was a look that you're going for. Nicely composed, nicely framed. But that just makes you stop and think, oh my word, ouch, ouch. Very interesting. Let me know if that was real, or whether that's done in post. I mean, it looks real. Wow, okay. We'll move on. Okay. Not so sure on this one. Long flowy dresses being thrown has been done a lot. The post-production is a little filtered looking as well. We've gone from good straight up contrast to filtered kind of look to open kind of muddy shadows to good strong contrast to black and white. So there's a bit of variation going through in terms of the post work that's going on. So in terms of when you say developing a style and something that you're working on, your post-production kind of defines part of that style. It's not all of it, but it's certainly part of it. Now, with this one, framing's okay, fine. Looks like that's not her leg. I mean, obviously, logic dictates that it is her leg, but it kind of looks a little bit funny. We're just kind of hovering under there, and we've got no arms shown. Maybe the arms being out or more engaged in the pose would have helped sell it better, but at the moment that just looks a little bit strange with the way that the fabric's covering the leg and where it's kind of cut straight off here. It's almost like someone else is under there, and we know it's not, but it just seems a little bit strange. Okay, nice, clean, simple. Nice framing, nice attention to detail on the posing. You've got some good attention to detail going on the posing. Now, posing comes from the photographer experience and from the model experience as well. So it's a collaboration, as always. But I'm certainly liking what I'm seeing. It's asymmetrical in the pose, one shoulder up, one shoulder down. The look on the face matches the little hint of a rise of the eyebrow and the kind of the look that says, "Who the hell are you?" It works really well. I like the vignette, whether that's in post or natural in the lens. Doesn't matter. I do like that one. So that's a winner for me, certainly. Good light on it. And I like the styling. Now, I'm just going to load the site on my tablet. Bear with me here, Stoney. One moment. Just to have a look at this one. Where are we? Nope. Because I actually noticed something on my tablet on this image. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, not so noticeable on the main site, but if you look at this on a mobile device on the tablet where it goes into the light box, there's a hint of a white line on the edge of the curtain or the background, which is definitely there, but it's kind of being hidden at this moment in time because of the white background, and it's just a little bit distracting. The framing of it seems a little bit off. She's not quite dead centre, and if you're going to stick someone in the centre of a frame, it needs to be bang in the middle. Because the problem with putting people in the centre of the frame, and I do this a lot, is that it's one of the big no-nos that you'll hear. Don't put anybody in the centre of the frame. It's bad. Whatever. But if you are going to do it, they need to be slap bang in the middle and balanced out with either the pose or the background elements that you're shooting as well. Now, we can see a hint of a separation light on that side and not so much on this side. See, because it makes it a little uneven because we can see that arm separated and that one not. When I say separated, it sounds bad, doesn't it? But in terms of separation from the background. But the main thing with me in terms of balancing out the composition, just to make sure it is dead centre. Maybe a recrop would work, and it would probably actually alleviate that problem that you have there on that side as well. Now, this is certainly interesting. It makes you want to stop and look. I don't mind the negative space, but again, if we look at this here, because there's nothing else going on really in the background, and you've gone for a central kind of composition, I would of course then go dead centre with it, and it's slightly off on this one. So a recrop of this would work, and I don't think it would really hurt it because the background's fairly uniform throughout. You'd still be able to retain the darker corners, so I'd certainly crop that in. Maybe even to a square crop would work as well. Now, I do really like this one. This is another one of the ones that I thought, shit, I wish I shot that. Nice. Nice attention to detail on the pose, nice and symmetrical with the feet, the hands, the shoulder line of the dress. You can just see the separation enough from the background. So good job on that one. The head is turned slightly, but only ever so slightly. I can't imagine that helmet was particularly comfortable. I do really like that. Composite background. Certainly it has that feel anyway. Not a fan of where this arm's coming out here. Kind of looks, yeah, you know what I mean? So I would probably hide it or bring it more into play across the body. So this one, no. I really struggle with this kind of a pose with the hand coming up to the hair, because every time I see it I just think, oh, I've got a headache, or oh, my neck hurts, and I'll go through phases of being okay with them and then hating them. So it's just one of those posing things that I struggle with, but for me that one can go. Wow, what an outfit. That's cool. I do like that one. Probably like to see a little bit more space at the top, give that feather headpiece a bit more breathing room, but really good job on that one. Not a whole lot really to say against it at all. You know, really well done on that. Now this one I do like. And maybe a tad bit tight on it, because you're kind of not cutting through the head, or kind of just starting to. But yeah, I really do like that one. It shows some energy with the hair blowing across. Nice detailing. Kept detail on this, because that potentially is a bit of a nightmare to the light, really. Trying to keep enough light up here so you can see the hair, and without losing detail in this. It's probably going to take some post work in most cases, or the right kind of modifier. And there we go. Now we'll go through the other galleries now. Where was it now? I noticed. So as I just flicked through the galleries, now this is what I'm looking at here is the layout. Oh, that's the YouTube video. Okay, so that's a little confusing because this little thing loads in at the bottom. Like, what's that? And it turns out it's the YouTube video. I can understand why you're displaying the YouTube video with the body of work, but maybe it should be in an embedded video in the gallery, in the thumbnail. So as you go through, the last thing you see, or the first thing, depending on what you want to do, video, rather than a embedded small YouTube box there. So we'll skip through these, because one thing I noticed as we go through the galleries, again, bigger pictures, fairly consistent look, thumbnails, pictures, as we skip through. Here we go again. So we saw some of these earlier on, but same thing again, the video there. And we've seen some of these already. Okay, reusing the same images in galleries can be done as long as the gallery that they're first shown in is obvious that it's a first major kind of edit gallery, which I'm assuming that this is. I would probably make it clear that this is my 15 image, my 20 image edit of my favourite stuff. So we'll carry on going through. There we go. So these are the actual bodies of work when they're together. See, the problem is when you're shooting these kind of stories and this kind of stuff, they work together better as a series themselves. There we go. This is where it changes. Let me just go back. Oh, that's no wides. Cake. Boom. So we've got image, thumbnails, image, thumbnails, image, thumbnails, image, thumbnails, thumbnails, YouTube video, Okay, so we've now changed the layout. The darker section of the screen here, and we've got a completely different look than what we had of the other ones, instead of kind of a uniform gallery feel. And to be fair, whilst your initial gallery, you want it front and centre, full size large image, which is fine, and I would prefer to see a consistent look going through. The beauty about this layout is lightbox, so you get potentially a bigger image, but then you get thumbnails down here to go through them, and we've got this still visible in the background, which is a little bit distracting. I would rather see it go to lights out, and if you need to do white border, dark border, according to the image that you're shooting, you may need to change this up a little bit, then a bit more work, but so be it. Now we've got these here, look, this is changed, so it's a different gallery feel. Now I wonder if, oh look, the arrow keys on the keyboard work, whereas in the previous ones they don't. So you see, you've not got a consistent user experience going through the galleries. Now these look better here, a little bit larger, so they present better. See that there compared to, here we go, whoops, sorry, wrong one. That, it's got more impact because it's that little bit bigger, and I think you can go larger still. But where are we? Going down to here. This layout change is, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And this change in user experience, now it's a light box, and these are offset as well for some reason, rather than being underneath. A little bit of work to be done there. So we'll go back to, where were we? This one, and we'll have a, I say quickly, probably not, and we'll go through these further galleries. I really like this set. Great work. I don't know whether this was post-production more so, or camera and post-production work, with flash freezing the subject and moving the camera with red lights in, and red constant lights in the background. Well, whatever, it works. I really do like that. It's a strong set. A little bit dark maybe on her in this one. But just again, remember, watch that framing. So we've got a little bit of dead space here. We can tell that the shape of her is there, but dead space here because she's not centre. Negative space down here is fine. But just watch that framing if you are going to put someone in the middle. But as I said, I really do like these. There you go, boom, nice. Sorry, I've gone quiet. I'm enjoying looking through these. Nice tip rich of it all. On the same picture. Works really well. See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. Been done a lot, but that works well. Probably my favourite one in the set. Really like that. Mr. I have no confidence in my ability. Yeah, nice. This is probably my favourite set that's on the site. Certainly one of them. Okay, so that was red melts. So here we go. So for What a Fashion magazine. So this is some of your published work. So again, well done. And bigger images. Because that's just kick ass. I know there's more post-production work gone into that one than there may normally, but that just works so well. Kind of spooky. It's almost like barbed wire. the hair. Well, I really do like that one. That's a great concept, and I mean, I imagine it's quite involved, and you know, doing each makeup set and each hair set on those. So there's only the 3 images on that, but I think they do work well together. Wow. How in the world? Now, do me a favour, drop me an email regarding this. Where is this one? Alien for What a Fashion magazine. Is that mostly post or mostly hair makeup work and a whole load of hair lacquer? Because that's just great. Jeez. Amazing. Okay. So, Insidious. Here we go. See, picking up on this again. People may just think that it's the title of the gallery, and that's a share button, and not really know, and completely miss the fact that the video's there. So it needs to be within this. Now, another thing as well that I forgot to mention before, is I don't like these scrolly things, generally speaking, and with a normal mouse, kind of frustrating in some ways. Now, I appreciate you can't have thumbnails going all the way across the screen, that would look crap, but they tend to work better on a tablet device, you know, with the swipe and the phone, which I know a lot of people will be looking at your work on, but on the normal laptop PC, not quite so much. A little bit annoying those. And we'll skip through these. So you've got a thing for symmetry, certainly on the posing. Now this one's composed fine, it's okay. Negative space there. Works with the set, and then you see the difference here in the colour as we go through. It's enough just to pick up on. I like this one. Favourite one so far. I like the fact that the face is partly covered, quite a serious, stern look. We can see a hint of an eye there, but we can't quite see it, which is interesting. But faded filter look. Okay, I'll stop going on about that now, but not a fan, definitely not. Okay, liking this set. Okay, going for symmetry again. Shape of the bow, shape of the hair. Pose. The garment on the back, I don't know whether it's had a cape type thing or a shoulder cover. You can see more here than you can on this side. This is more lit than this side here. And there's the good luck getting rid of the highlights during shooting on something shiny. But I think direction of the light is here, so it's camera left. So this arm's in shadow. So if you're going to go symmetrical with the light would work far better. Nice, clean, simple headshot. I like that one. That hair's amazing. Would not want to have to deal with all that in the morning. No chance of that. I'm bald. Right. Okay, we've seen that one there before. So here we go. Tighter crop on that one. And then the looser crop. I think that whilst I like that one, I would have probably coming closer, because to lose that top corner. But I feel that that one works better for the story, because we can see more of the outfit. Okay, in comparison to the other shot. Not quite sure on that, because the colours look very, very different. And I don't know whether there's been a lot more post work on that to fix a mistake that was made in camera, maybe. Just looking at what's happening on the skin and in the shadow area. And again, just a change again in the post. Now I'm back to the beginning. I mean, I may be wrong in saying this, but I think you need to look at being more consistent through a set of images on the final look. So the light can change, and that's normal. You'll see sets with soft light, with hard light, unless they really have to be very, very similar in look and feel, because the light will dictate how an image feels. It can feel kind of punchy, gritty, hard, troubling with hard light, and you can go airy, light and soft with soft light, and you can make soft light dramatic as well. Well, I think the final finish on the pictures in the series is so different across that it starts to lose a little bit of continuity. Yes, okay, it's the same kind of designer, outfit designer, I imagine, same couple of models, or same model, but the finish of the final pictures changes quite a lot through the set. So that's Insidious. And this is where we get that gallery change again. Okay. Nice tight headshot. Nice, I like that. With feather in the hairs. Huge eyelashes. Hints of white on the lips. On the eyebrows. This is distracting, because it's neither here nor there in terms of the outfit, because you can't see the rest of it, so it doesn't really offer anything. So we probably could have strapped off the shoulder or take that out in post-production, just to clean that up. And hang on, here we go, I can use those arrow keys now. Okay. No light in the eyes, which is fine for some things, if you're going for that. I like the lighting on this one. I like the fact that she's on the table and the pose. The hand on this one, with hands splayed out when they're on a leg or a surface, they can kind of look a little bit, I don't know, weird. Digits, fingers. The hands are a pain in the arse to pose. Softening that up may work, bringing the fingers together, slight arch in the hand. And this, I don't know whether it offers anything. I mean, I don't necessarily know the full idea or the story myself, so I may be wrong, but I'm not quite sure on the dead flowers. There we go. Okay. Maybe I'll come back to that dead flower statement as I go through. I like the little off-cut here, the head of the flower that's come off. Okay, I like that. Ah, here's this one again. That's distracting. Just, I would have cut that thing and taken it away. See, we've got quite a consistent look through these as we go through. Nice use of wide angle close up. Wow, makes her legs look really thin, and that's just the way that the outfit falls. Okay. With the table element, I don't know whether it would have been better framed in the middle, although maybe it works with her lean. I'm not sure on that one. That outfit must have taken ages to put together. Here's where the look changes, post-production. You get more punchy, boom, when you get to this. I do like the pose, the hand that it comes in and leads you back in, and with this other one coming in, and with the lean going over on the shoulders, works really well. The styling's very, very good on these. Oh my word. She has no hands. Now that looks strange because that's just totally black. I do like that. So now we've got into a consistent, more contrasty, punchy look compared to the previous ones. And again, yeah, you're not afraid of using that wide angle lens, which is fine. Yeah, nice set. Okay, here on this one, this needs to be in the middle. Okay, then shift her on the table over that way a little bit. You can lean over, a little bit more headroom at the top, and it would have balanced out the composition on that one. I really like the pose, the styling, everything works. It's just that framing and positioning of the table to shift it over, get it central, move her a little bit over, and still do the same pose, and a little bit more space at the top on there. That's a good shot. I said that before. And we're back to the beginning. So, you may want to watch this in 2 parts. So that was no cake, no white, editorial. Okay, it could still probably do with going bigger because we can't really see the text on that. That works. That's a great shot. Things that my eye goes to, okay, the highlights, whatever. Gives it a little bit of separation, that's fine. I like the pose. It's asymmetrical. Hair frames the face nicely. Then we get toes just showing there. That's the first thing that I caught that distracted me. But other than that, if the dress was just over there, I really do like that. Great shot. Wow. Nice. Nicely done. That's a really good one. That's really strong. There's an element of tension in the hands, the way that she's holding the thumb and the fingers are held. Maybe close the fingers up on that, but nah, that's fine. The tension within the hands matches the look on the face. I do really like that. Here we go, symmetry central. Yeah, that one's done really well. Some really interesting styling. Great set so far on this one. It all works really well. And we've got a more... Look, here. Where are we? Boom. Boom. We've got a more consistent look and feel in terms of the lighting and the final... Oops, went too far. The final post-production. And it all works really well. Not quite so sure on that one because we've got these things which are settled and resting in different spots. We've got twisted there, little details, and the hand twisted towards the camera on that one there. So I'm starting to look at the details now because there's so much detail to look at. And there's the example of the publication. That's all well and good. Damn good set. Where were we? No wides. Shiny. Okay. Nice. Although I alluded to liking that one before. I like the use of the background, the foil. The pose works well, framing's nice on that one. No problems. Remember what I mentioned on there, the lines cutting through the head? Although it's a personal bugbear more than anything. See, we've got a similar issue there again. And we've lost the rear arm, kind of. We can just see a hint of it there, so it's probably best going completely out or bring it in across the thigh maybe on that one. But I do really like this series. I wish I thought of covering a room in foil. Damn you. Right. Oh, that's just cool. Really like the feel of that one. I honestly don't know why you're so worried. I mean, okay, I've picked at little things here and there. Said a few things which may be a bit harsh, but you know, we're all able to work on the stuff that we shoot. Always room to improve. Okay, see. Consistent look, consistent look and feel. Consistent look and feel ties in changes. I'm not talking about the colour change, it's just the post-production change. It's quite apparent, and then boom, goes to colder. And then kind of stays with it now through the series. I really do like this one. Very, very nicely framed. Who the hell let you cover a room in foil? Or was it a studio? Oh, that's awesome. Okay, wish I'd have shot this set myself, and that's the honest truth. But I really do like that. Okay, not so keen on this one, because you're offset to her position, and she's not quite centre of the room, I don't think, unless that's the camera perspective, and she's really tiny in the frame. I mean, the negative space can work if you were straight on, because you'd have the negative space at the top of, I was pointing at the screen then, which is bloody useless. The negative space at the top of the screen here, and the bottom here, as well as the sides. And if you just shifted your position so you straight on and balanced it out, it would have had usage for the text overlay. But wow, yeah, great set. Very nicely done. Where are we now? That was shiny. Fledgling. Okay. I mean, I've covered the ins and outs of the feel of the site and the layout. You need an About Me page and information on your social media, most definitely. I would keep a consistent look on the galleries as well. See, this, I've got to say this again, it bugs the crap out of me. With these being offset, I don't know why it's doing that, rather than them being in the middle. Maybe it doesn't really matter. See how much more impact this has now it's larger and we can actually see the text. You've got room to go larger still, and have it go dark so you've got just the images on show. Nice. Okay. Portrait photography faux pas. Don't crop at the ankles, but I think in fashion you can get away with it, so not overly worried about that. Some great concepts and styling. See, that works. Look. See, that must have been your original composition. More negative space. That's far better balanced than what's being shown. I don't know whether that's a gallery error, in your main gallery. If we go back to there, I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, or whether you have cropped that tight, but I much prefer, oh god, where are we, fledgling, I much prefer that there, far stronger. And if you look at the layout you've got here, would translate for magazine use far better, far better. Already spoke about that one. And okay. Now, in terms of your different post-production style, as we've gone through some of the sets, I think for each individual set or story, changing it from straight up colour and contrast to a different look and feel in the post, fine with the industry that you want to go in, but having it switch throughout the story, I'm not so sure about myself. So this one looks like it could be fairly consistent. Strong portrait there, but a big change in the brightness of an image as well. I'm going to discuss a few things about laying out a portfolio once we've gone through all these. But a big change on the brightness. Yeah, I do like that one. Wow. How to make women love you as a photographer. Give them really long legs, wide angle lens. Okay, spoke about that one before, so we'll go past that. Oh god. I think for me with this one, I mean, here we go again. Now I'm being a little bit mean here, but I'm going through, giving it both barrels and being honest. Consider I said we'd go through this at the end, but we might as well do it here because it's a good example. Consider whether a portfolio image flows from one to the other, whether it's dark background, light background, whether you go light, light, dark, or you go light series then into a dark series. The tones and colour of the clothing, the expression and the look as well, do they match? And then you've got the final post-production feel as well. Does it flow? Does it balance? Does the pose in one looking straight on work well with one who's kind of twisted and arched looking back or looking away over the shoulder? So look at all those individual elements as you try and put together a set and a series. It's a little difficult narrowing down when you're doing a story set because you've probably got less in terms of total body of images to go through, because once you've done your edit you drill down to your 10 maybe selections from the shoot for the story. We just need to consider the flow of the actual portfolio. So we've gone, I mean it's fine as a portrait, but it's darker in exposure, then it changes and it stays bright, and exposure wise fine, but it's a darker image, darker background, darker clothing. Okay, that's alright. So straight at camera, looking away, boom, straight at camera, still looking at camera, okay, that's fine. It's gone to darker, changes completely. That leg bugs me on that one. And then we've gone from this feel, which is a cooler look in terms of the colour temperature, to warmer look. Okay, with this one I would have probably liked to have seen this further out, so it's straight down here within this pose. I don't mind that you can't see the arms. I think it actually works, and at least with the leg further out it probably would have matched the angle of the fabric, which leads down here and to the edge of the frame. So we've gone, okay, here we go. I'm being a little picky here, so dark, light, really light, dark, okay, fine, warm, warm, darker in exposure. I quite like the pose and the feel of it closed in, but it's a darker exposed image, and Then we go to light again. Now I really like this one. This one really strong. Even with the shoulders slightly turned away, that's a cracking shot. And then you've got the the bulk of the work together. Now, like I say, I'm considering this a lot with my portfolio as I put it together, whether the images flow, but I'm not shooting the editorial stories or fashion stuff that you are, so it's different types of work. So some of the stuff that I say may not necessarily apply within that industry. So where are we? That was... Here we go. Oh, come on, load. Right. Really strong image on that one. That works well. Ties in well. Asymmetrical in the pose. Spoke about that one before. You were going for symmetry, but it doesn't really work because of a few of the elements of the hands, level of the fingers, where the outfit meets the forearm there. And okay, I like that one. And it works well for me because you've got quite a bit of juxtaposition in some of your work in terms of you've got a brighter colours on the makeup but a very, very sombre pose and a sombre look on the face, which you might not necessarily associate with a bright highlight or oh god, I'm rubbish at makeup, but a bright colour on the cheek and a bright colour on the eyelids. Wow. Excuse me a moment while I do a handstand. Huh, okay, that's cool. I like that. See, that's one of the images of one of a few images actually that you've got within your body of work on your site, what makes you stop and look at it for a while, which is good. Huh. I would like to see that larger, which is difficult because of the nature of the crop of it. That works well. Yeah. In terms of your lighting work, there's not a whole lot wrong with it. There's some things which can be improved. Looking at some images, but it's God. I mean, lighting's so subjective, so subjective. But you do very, very well. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. That was a strong one. You know, simple lighting wise, nice simple composition, that works. Okay, that works for me. So I'm liking the use of the shape in the posing, with the triangle shapes on the arms, S-curve of the shape of the body. And the styling on a lot of the work that you're shooting fits as it goes through, in terms of the dress and the tail there as well. And there we go. So nice work on that one. There we go. Now let me just go back one moment. Bear with me. You see, with this layout at the moment, whilst I prefer it because you get larger images, we get this bottom section which changes in the height and shape depending on how many thumbnails that you have in the gallery. So we've gone from that one to that one, so it changes again, and that's about the same there. So it just changes height a little bit. So again, it's just looking for that consistent streamlined look going through. Not so keen on that one. Okay. I'm just going to go back to the title on this one. White World, Black Tears, Editorial. Okay. So maybe on these galleries they could do with some text information is having these centered in the actual gallery that they're in, just above. Or an option to click on more information, maybe. Okay. Ah, I see. Cool nails. When I saw this one, and forgive me for saying this, I thought cross between Wednesday Addams and Uncle Fester, but obviously it's in white. Well, it's a cool set. So you're drawing together the concepts really well. And conceptual stuff is something I really struggle with, to be honest. Yeah, the good framing on these. I think that could probably be a bit more central. That one may as well have been in the middle. Well framed on that one. Then boom, dead centre in the middle, which is fine. Okay, so again, here we go within fashion photography. It finds a crop, cut through the head, cut through the fingers. Other worlds, not so much. I do like that one. You can see the shape of the nails. Let the highlights go to highlight heaven. Okay, good set. Not one of the stronger ones, but good set. And last one, lookbook. Okay. Now, sometimes things like sharpness and that can be overrated, but the eyes look a little bit soft at the top of the frame. I mean, if it was shot with a wide angle, that's quite normal for the edges of a wide angle lens. But the sharpest areas around here, then they go a little bit soft. Doesn't always matter though. Oof, wow. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Framed nicely. Wow. That is far stronger than that. That could quite easily be taken out. I feel. And it's probably really mostly because of the wig. The colour, the pink's a bit but maybe that's what was wanted. But the first one is far stronger. That's slightly disturbing. Okay. Interesting. I've seen that one before. I do like that one. Okay, interesting set. Most certainly. I mean, conceptually works very, very good. You do the conceptual stuff far better than I do. I suck at that. To end the critique there, I know it's been quite long. but very long. You need to get an About Me page on your website. You need to update the information across your social media networks. There needs to be a consistent look throughout those in terms of the information that you're giving people to get them back to your site to find out more about who you are and what you do. And be mindful of the framing on some of your work, just to make sure that if it is going to be in the centre, it's dead centre. If it's going to be symmetrical, or if you're going for it, then it is definitely symmetrical across all the elements. But you've got some great concepts. I love, where are we? Shiny. That's just awesome. Why didn't I think of that? And red melt. I really do like those, and I like the work that you've done with the video. Get the video in the galleries as part of it. Find a consistent look for the galleries so the layout doesn't change too much and the user experience is consistent, and maybe make it clear which gallery that you're in when you're in it, because it's not really a story layout, is it? It's like for me, this is your favourite body of work. This is my best stuff, front and centre. Boom, there we go. So just make sure that that's known as well. The crop on this one, remember, far better with the additional negative space, in my opinion, on that one. But overall, some very, very impressive work. If you have struggles with and doubts or holes in your technical, someone looking through your work may not really be able to see a lot of that, but if you admit to that yourself and that's something that you want to work on going forward, then you know more of where you stand probably than I do at this moment in time, in terms of what you know technically. The work that you're putting up is very polished in terms of the final post-production. Okay, there's elements of the compositions that can be improved, and the consistency of the post work done within a set or a story as well. But overall, a high quality of work, and you've certainly got a good body of work going forward, and nothing really to be worried about. Is there work to do? Yeah, same for everybody. And the biggest thing, as much of a time suck and a ball ache that it is with social media, get your information out there. Make it an email form on an About Me page so they can easily contact you, so they don't have to open up the mail client or press and hold to wait for the iPhone or whatever they're using to copy the email address, copy, paste and send. You just make it simple and easy to use, so they can contact you. You're going to get, if you start getting the inquiries through, you're going to get a lot of traffic through email initially. Yeah, they may well ring you, but these days it's people are probably going to get first touch base with an email, or I would imagine they'll send an email to their marketing manager. So look, I've found this person. Okay, you 5 people underneath me, you start the conversation, and it's all going to be started on email, so they need to be able to contact you really quickly and really easily on that. But overall, a very, very impressive body of work. So well done. I hope that this video has been of some help. I've started to speak a little bit quieter. 1, I'm losing my voice, been going that long. 2, it's late at night and I just don't want to disturb people, so hopefully the audio's been fine for you. If you've got any questions or feedback on this, if you disagree with some things that I've said, then go for it. Let me have it both barrels. Send me an email back, send a video back if you want. I'll get this edited and sent out to Dropbox for you. So thank you very much for getting in touch. Hopefully it's been of some help, and I shall hopefully hear from you at some point soon.